first of all, thanks to Sony Ericsson G-Skill for sponsoring the GSL. And there is our Zerg player, the winner of the last game on the left side of the map from the Team FX Open. He is
FXO Lucky.
Are you feeling lucky, punk? And over here on the right side of the map, we have our Protoss player, our foreign champion. He is
Dignitas Naniwa.
Now, two players from the Team Dignitas have already played in Code and Advanced.
Ah, that's true, yeah.
And Naniwa is the third. Now, if the trend continues, Naniwa will advance. But it may be because he's no longer extending his contract. He can't do it. It's like the reason he loses, he like blames it on. He like makes a blog on Team Liquid. He's like, the only reason I lost.
It's the curse. Looks like Naniwa's going to be going for a Forge Expand again. A little bit easier to do it on this map now with the natural being a little bit narrower. A lot of Protoss are having a really hard time actually Forge Expanding on this map. There's a lot of discussion back a couple months ago about how to do it. A lot of Protoss just kind of gave up. A lot of them tried to just do the Forge Expand where you kind of try to go from your ramp and kind of wrap around the Nexus a little bit. But always nicer when you can just go across the choke like that.
Yeah, now we have a narrower choke, so...
Lucky does it again. He hides the... Wow. Hides the drone. Does decide to go for a pool first this time. It's a nice little trick there.
It's pretty clever.
Not even getting lucky with that one. That's just clever.
It's pretty clever, and uh-oh.
Oh, looks like Naniwa. Oh! That was close. Almost was able to hassle the...
But a little bit of taste of your own medicine here.
How do you like it, Probe?
When this happens, it's actually so difficult for the Protoss player.
Yeah.
And if the drone just decided to fight initially, then the probe would actually die, so he'd have to bring another. He has to bring another probe no matter what.
You know, that's an interesting point too. Oh, there's the Nexus going down right away, and
drone gets away.
Drone does make his escape. But the Nexus was a little bit delayed.
It's a little tip for you guys. Drone will always beat a probe if they fight each other straight up, because the drone will regenerate hit points constantly over time, whereas the probe cannot regenerate shields if it's under attack.
Yeah. Drones are the ultimate one-on-one combatants. The Gatherer Wars.
Although a drone versus an SCV,
yeah, that's true. An SCV does with additional hit points. If the drone micros a little bit, then attacks again, of course you will. And an SCV would beat a probe too, I suppose, too, if the probe doesn't run away and let the shields regenerate.
Yeah, yeah. Something a lot of people don't know about Protoss shields, they do not regenerate while they're under fire. They have to wait. They have a little period of time where they have to wait until they're not under fire, then they start regenerating again.
Yep, there's like an internal cooldown for that, that's right. Overlord merrily making his way across the map. You gotta feel that like some of the Overlords just lead very carefree lives, you know, if it's a map where they just get sent off to check some base no one's ever gonna take, they're just gonna floating along, having a good time.
Well, they get to see a lot of scenery.
Well, that is interesting.
Yeah,
Look at that.
That is really interesting.
Huh.
He's gotta have time to kill these rocks.
Interesting. Taking a fast third, deciding to just say, forget the rocks, I'm going to just, you know, maybe oversaturate it a little bit.
Well, it's going to become a macro hatchery later on. He wants to spread the creep there, and it's basically like he's taking a quick macro hatchery, but also wants to get a third base, wants to get some extra larva production, send some drones over there. Stargate going up for Naniwa, so we're seeing a very similar opening for Naniwa to what we saw last game.
You know, we're seeing some really nice little creative things from FXO Lucky, too. I'm actually really enjoying watching him play. I didn't know a whole lot about him before.
He is a pretty cool player. He likes to do creative things. His macro is really good.
Now, the question is will Naniwa be able to do some damage with the Stargate here? We saw some good micro last game. Did kill a lot of Queens and a lot of Overlords, but ultimately it didn't really slow down Lucky all that much.
Lucky was so prepared. He got supply blocks maybe 2 or 3 times and all of that because he was constantly making extra Overlords.
Yeah, he sent that Queen over really, really early. That's something we don't see a lot of Zerg players do. Ended up helping quite a bit.
Yeah.
Didn't really end up needing it, but you know, if it would have been needing it.
Well, on this map, it's much easier for Naniwa to take a fast third. He's going to have to destroy his rocks, of course, but that's not going to be too big of a deal for him. He can use Void Rays to do it even if he wants to. He can take a faster third and do a very similar opening. He's already got his robotics facility finishing up. So it looks like what Naniwa is trying to do here is force the Hydras and get much faster Colossi than he did last game. Skip the Zealot timing attack.
That's a good idea. Now,
the Overlord's going to see that, though.
I was going to say, yeah, is the Overlord actually going to see the robotics bay? That's the question.
Did see it.
He did see it. All right.
Robotics support bay going up.
So he knows more or less what's coming. Naniwa producing another Phoenix or two. Pretty quick lair as well for Lucky.
He's adding 3 more gases right now. He's using that third, mining from it long distance, so to speak, because of course it was misplaced because of the rocks. But now he's making his real third base there. So he's going to have 4 hatcheries very soon.
Yeah, it just does end up being a really useful macro hatch, really.
Yeah.
And you notice he did put all his drones on the side that it was faster to mine as well. So paying attention to little details like that as well. It's kind of cool to see.
Very cool. Now, Void Rays going to work on those rocks like I suggested earlier. Sending some Phoenixes around to catch Overlords. That's what Naniwa's doing right now. Forcing some extra Overlords to be made. Always good to do.
Did you ever watch the Evo chamber when it dies? There's actually like a big skeleton.
Yeah, there's a little skeleton in there.
Isn't that
really
weird?
Cool. Yeah, I like that.
What is that thing, man?
The evolution chamber is alive, man.
I guess so.
Have you ever seen it when it's researching? It moves around.
Yeah.
It's a little bit weird.
It's very bizarre. Hydroden on the way here. So that might end up actually working out pretty well for Naniwa as well, you know, because he is going for pretty quick Colossi, he's getting a range as well.
Well, Overlord's being taken out here by Naniwa, and Lucky's been careful to make extra ones, so he's not, you know, he's not like getting supply block, he's had to make extra Overlords. The fire the Hydro stand was just made, he can't wait any longer, he has to get that out immediately. They end up losing a queen here. This is actually, I didn't expect him to lose a queen.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't really been producing as many as he has before. He's not really in range of the Spore Crawler at all either, so he's kind of making it easy a little bit for Naniwa to kill all these Overlords, kill some queens and things like that. Interesting.
Now, Colossi are already out for Naniwa. He's actually playing this game in a much safer way than last game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not going in for the Zealots. He didn't force a bunch of Zerglings either, so of course the drone count right now is 68 to 58. He's actually making 5 more drones right now.
Oh, and drops on the way again for FXO
again.
Lucky. He's going to go for it again.
It's oftentimes the last thing a Protoss will expect is Overlord drops to go for Stargate play, because it's like, well, I can shut down your drops with my Void Rays, but if you make enough Overlords, you just can't shut them down. Now, these Zerglings actually are still slow Zerglings. This is something that Lucky did both games, where he doesn't get Zergling speed until very late, so he can get a fast layer, get Overlord drop for Zergling speed, get a Spire.
You know, the rough thing for Naniwa as well right now is that he doesn't have actually a single Stalker. So he's going to need to be very, very careful about those drops. And I, like you said, I don't think he's really expecting it. He went for Colossi a lot faster. That reduced the amount of Stalkers he has. Yeah, as you can see, he only has 4 right now. So this drop, you know, if it's the size of the drop we saw last time, could end up doing some damage.
Yeah, but he does have those Colossi out. If the Colossi are in the right place at the right time, which is often not the case when you're playing Hydra drops you, it should be fine. Again, Naniwa just being so persistent with these Void Rays, killing off the Overlords.
FXO Lucky getting a Spire as well, so he's going to have Corruptors for the Colossi as well. Naniwa on 3 bases, probably just going to play defensive and power up and then try to move out with that big, you know, death ball, I think.
Yeah, Naniwa is actually quite ahead in supply right now.
Yeah.
I'm thinking we're going to see some Mutas, and actually, there they are.
Oh, you're right.
When I saw the Spire, I was like, I think he's actually going to Mutas, because he's scouted consistently that there are very few Stalkers out, and mostly Colossi is the unit of choice right now for Naniwa. But remember, like we were talking about earlier, if you have a Stargate out, you can make Phoenixes. You already have some Phoenixes out, and Mutas aren't as good unless you have a massive amount of them. That's why Lucky was supply was so down, is because he saved up a ton of money.
Yeah.
He made 14 Mutas, he's got 5 more on the way. He's actually going into heavy Mutalist play as he takes more bases, taking the top base, taking the center base.
This is actually getting really dangerous for Naniwa. I don't think he has any idea that there are Mutas on the way right now.
He doesn't have any idea, but he is adding more Stalkers. He's getting Blink right now. He's getting +1 armor. He already has +1 weapons, so he's going to have 1/1 upgrades pretty soon. His Phoenixes are constantly checking around, and, you know, he just still hasn't seen that Spire yet.
Oh, here they come. Going to go after the cannons right away. Now, Phoenixes can micro against Mutalisks, but it can be very, very difficult, especially with a huge amount of Mutas like that. Yeah, and FXO Lucky just being careful. He wants to get that big Mutalisk death ball, if you will, that the Protoss just has a really hard time dealing with.
And Lucky's north base finishing up here. He's actually going to be now on 5 bases, whereas Naniwa is still stuck on 3. And when you're stuck on 3 bases at cross positions, when your opponent has mutas out, it's a pretty tough situation to recover from.
Yeah.
Also, not to mention, Lucky got a Baneling Nest as well.
That's a lot of mutas.
Yeah, there's so many mutas. Not doing a ton of damage with those.
He's being very, very careful with them. I mean, he actually probably could have engaged that and taken out the Stalkers, but he just wants to get that unbeatable amount.
Well, he wants to force these cannons. That's 600 minerals forced there for Naniwa on those cannons that he has to make. He has to make them. He's actually making 8 cannons right now.
That as well. 26 mutas on the field, I believe. Maybe 28.
Yeah,
28.
26.
26.
Greater Spire's on the way. He's got an Infestation Pit. Pathogen Glands are on the way. +1. Melee attacks on the way, making more mutas, more drones. Surprised. The only thing I'm surprised at is he doesn't get +1 for his mutas. But you want to get a faster Greater Spire. Attacking over here. Not the best place to engage. There are too many Stalkers prepared.
He's got a lot of mutas waiting at home, though, to join up with that group. He's also expanding at both the 12 and the 6 o'clock. That's a good decision because then your opponent, you know, can't take out both of them, basically. He has to kind of pick.
He has to pick one.
Yeah. And he's going to be out of position when he does it, too.
Exactly.
Yep.
Now, here come those mutas again. He may actually decide to engage this time.
I think he will. That is a huge group of Mutalisks. And those Stalkers are going to fall so fast. Oh, more coming from the bottom, though.
I don't think it was a good idea to engage there.
Yeah, he did end up losing quite a few of them, actually.
Muta upgrades, because he's making his Greater Spire. You can't research at the same time as you make your Greater Spire.
That's true.
And he just wanted to trade a little bit. He didn't trade very efficiently there. And Naniwa actually almost maxed out, whereas Lucky's at 163 supply. So Naniwa's got a timing here we can move out, but the Broodlords are coming.
8 Broodlords immediately on the way right now for Lucky.
Remember, Naniwa has Void Ray out.
Yeah.
In fact, he's probably going to keep making Void Rays off of that Stargate as soon as he finds out about the Greater Spire. In fact, he probably should already be adding some additional Stargates. He should know this is coming. Now, Lucky's got Infestors as well, so this is going to be tough for Naniwa to engage, but he does still have a scary army. If he engages it well, if he splits his Colossus, splits his army pretty well, he should be fine. These Mutas are going to attack the main of Naniwa, but he still has plenty of units back there, as well as his cannons.
Oh yeah, he's got a lot of Stalkers. Nice blink ahead to take out a couple Mutas.
And he actually might blink and catch some more of them. Nope.
Nope.
Maybe a little bit too south.
You got me all excited, Wolf.
Well, if he had...
How dare you.
If he had actually decided to chase, it would have gotten, but he didn't realize it. I was like, oh, Naniwa's smarter than he is. No.
All right, here comes Naniwa. That is a scary army, but the Broodlords are out. He can blink ahead and work on those Broodlords, though. FXO Lucky needs to be pretty careful here. More Broodlords morphing right now. Here come all the Mutas. He can protect the Broodlords. He can do okay. Infestors bungling the Stalkers, allowing the Broodlords to fire from afar.
The Muta's doing a lot of damage as well with their bounce damage.
Yeah.
And Naniwa is forced to retreat here. Naniwa taking a huge supply lead. Naniwa starting +3 weapons right now. And still no upgrades for Lucky on flyer attacks. They're only halfway done. 3 more Corruptors, Infestors on the way. 8 Banelings being morphed. So he's starting to get a really solid mix of units. But Naniwa has forced his way through the center. He's taking a 4th base now. Finally getting a Templar Archives, but not actually deciding to add any Stargates.
Yeah, not yet.
Wants to use those Templar for feedback and storm rather than relying on the Void Rays because there's so many Infestors out.
That's a good amount of Banelings being morphed right now.
25, in fact.
Yeah, and I mean, although Banelings aren't terribly effective in Stalkers, in big numbers when the Stalkers are all clumped up like that, works pretty well. Now, he did also get drops earlier, too, so we could see him drop those Banelings on the army if he doesn't decide to just move right in with them. Could fungal the Stalkers and Baneling bust them.
Here we go. Broodlords sieging up here. But no support units underneath them until these Infestors arrive, so he's baited some blinks forward. Here come the Banelings. They don't have speed, but there are so many bungles. Force fields are too late, and those Banelings did so much damage to that Colossus. Luckily for Naniwa, who was able to blink out just in time, but even so, the Broodlords are still doing so much damage here.
Yep. Now he does also have Mutas to kind of harass those Stalkers too if they decide to blink ahead. Oh, he blinks right under the Broodlords. Fungal on the Stalkers though, but it looks like he's still going to get them.
He is going to get the majority of these Broodlords, but he has to blink back the rest of his Stalkers. He just doesn't have enough. There's too many Mutas there. He can't target the Broodlords and deal with the Mutas at the same time.
He did get most of them though, so he will kind of keep himself alive for a little bit longer.
Yeah, but how much time can he buy? Lucky has both the top and bottom bases fully saturated now.
That is the danger, yeah.
And he's got so many resources just in the bank. He's constantly able to spend everything. His macro is incredible here. Naniwa's resource is actually starting to get up to 2,000, even though he's nowhere near max. So you can see Lucky just kind of out-macroing him here a little bit. But Naniwa's +3 is done, so he's at 3-1 upgrades now. The upgrades of Lucky are +1 for his flyers. He has no Carapace upgrades. He's going to have +2 melee in just a second. And remember, that affects all of the Broodlings when they're attacking in Broodling mode.
Yeah, with the Broodlords, the first hit when the Broodling lands does air damage, and then it's ground damage from then on.
Exactly.
It's kind of weird, but we go with us on this one. It works.
Well, it makes sense.
It does. And here we go again. He's got some High Templar in the mix this time as well.
Nice Storm.
Oh,
and
yeah, hitting a lot of those mutas.
Can't actually really escape very easily from that. They just have so many hit points, they're going to continue to attack anyways. Look at how many Broodlings are running in here.
Now the Colossi do handle the Broodlings before they do too much damage, but he's slowly pushing Naniwa back. Fungal
Nice
on the
feedback.
Templar. And storming over and over again on the Broodlords, but they just have so many hit points. The Templar are dead.
Have so much energy, they're just continuing to fungal, but Naniwa is starting to catch up in supply here. If he can just win one key engagement, he might be able to push him away. The problem is there's so many Banelings there, so if he blinks forward like he has,
here he goes!
And here come the Banelings!
Oh no, all the Stalkers being taken down.
The Banelings actually didn't do the real damage there. The Broodlings killed the Stalkers before the Banelings could even hit them.
Yeah. Well, Naniwa just in a very difficult position right now. It's really tough to engage with all those infestors, with all the energy. Yeah, Lucky moving in again, losing a couple infestors.
Yeah, nice Stalker splitting here, and Naniwa is actually going to be able to break through now.
Wow.
And Naniwa takes a supply lead for once in a long time.
Well, that was just a really good way to engage that for Naniwa.
He was just so patient.
Yeah, he was so careful with the Stalkers.
He never did a, I'm going to blink all my Stalkers forward because this is what I think. Oh, catches some corruptors here. He was just so patient. He engaged with his cannons. He bought enough time. And, as you can see on the production tab there, right before I said there was nothing being produced, Naniwa needs to add more gates. It's very evident he only has 8 gateways. Needs to add a few more.
Well, Naniwa was so impressive there. I mean, you see so many Protoss players get nervous, try to just blink ahead and take out the Broodlords and hope for the best. But
Naniwa actually
played it so
did
patiently.
Finish up some of his gateways. He warped them in now, so now he's got about 12 gates.
That's good.
And with the amount of gates he has now on 3 bases, he's basically only got 2 mining bases. He can still make use of most of those gates.
Yeah.
But he needs to push out and take out some of Lucky's bases soon, because Lucky is free to expand more, whereas Naniwa is still kind of turtling up at this one base. He's remaking those Broodlords, +2 flyer attacks on the way, +3 melee weapons on the way.
Yeah, Naniwa can remax, or Naniwa can remax, but Lucky can remax very quickly because of his economy.
Oh, I like this by Naniwa, sending 3 Zealots down to the bottom. Unfortunately, the Spines are going to shut that down, but at least he's going to find it. May trigger him to do more Zealot attacks down there in the future.
We see a lot of Protoss players doing a lot of warp-ins with like Zealots and DTs. FXO and Nori, I've watched a lot of his games, and he tends to like to do that in ZVP as well. So wouldn't be surprised to see Naniwa try something like that as well. Gotta keep those Templars safe.
Yeah,
Broodlings coming in here.
It's a really good place for Lucky to engage, because the army of Naniwa has to go down a cliff and then up a cliff again.
Yeah.
And the Broodlings all just hang out in the middle there.
Oh, the Broodlords might get a little bit out of position. Nope, the army's catching up now.
Really good creep spread by Lucky, always having enough creep to really force the engagement on his terms.
Oh, the Templar getting a little bit out of position. They're so slow. And here we go. Here's the big engagement.
Great storms on those Banelings. But Lucky doing a lot of damage regardless. Nice fungals on all of the units.
Yeah, Templar's getting taken down. Does Naniwa have enough? Those storms were so good. Blinking ahead to try to take out the Broodlords. The Infestors don't really have much energy anymore.
But the Broodlings are just doing so much damage on their own. GG. Lucky 2-0s, Dignitas Naniwa here.
Yeah, very well played by FXO Lucky, but Naniwa really gave him a run for his money, I believe, too. Man, that last engagement, I thought that was going to be pretty close. It was close. Those storms on the Banelings were really good.
Storms on the Banelings were good. The Broodlings He blinked forward, he stopped being patient. If you blink forward when there are that many broodlings out, you're basically just passing your stock. You're actually like surrounding your own stalkers with broodlings.
That's what we were kind of talking about right before that happened, is we were kind of saying how it was good, that Naniwa wasn't doing that and that he was playing patient, but it's so hard to be, that patient for that long of a game. You're like, I just want to, end this. And yeah, you see basically every Protoss do it, blink ahead a little bit too fast and, lose the stalkers. So unfortunately, Naniwa is out. I thought he played well. Both him and Sase, we saw them play last season, and I feel like they really showed some improvement from last season to this season. I mean, you can really see it, actually.
Yeah, definitely so. And, Lucky just played really well. He controlled the map. He did some risky and unusual things. He took several bases at once, and also took the base next to the rocks before destroying the rocks, and then killed the rocks. And
I liked that. That was a cool little move, yeah.
Long distance mine, it was like medium distance mine.
Well, you brought up a good point that he knows, most Zerg do like to get that macro hatch. Why not just make it at your third, get a little bit of extra mining out of it, and then you can later make your normal third once you take down the rocks. So I think we're going to see Zerg players do that a lot more on that map from now on.
Especially now it's becoming popular. People have done it a little bit. I've seen it on in some foreign tournaments as well as just some Korean ladder. I've seen that. But now we're seeing it in GSL, so it's obviously becoming more popular in the highest level of play.
Well, it's one of those things where it's kind of like, why not? Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
It's like a Hillary Duff song.
Well, I don't know, is it?
I was like,
I don't know a lot about Hillary Duff, I guess. I confess. Wasn't she like on the Disney Channel or something like that?
Yeah, she played that show, Lizzie McGuire. I think that's what it was called. I don't know.
All right. She was like whispering in his ears. I thought he was going to tell us, but no, he was telling us it's time for a 5-minute break. Don't go anywhere, guys. Match 3 coming up next on GSL Code.